Hello everyone, welcome to Introductory Chemistry. This is your lecturer Dr. Yao Lu, and this is week 1 video D. So in this video, let's look at some materials in lecture 2. In Inorganic Chemistry section, we have 5 lectures and we have 5 weeks. Unfortunately, the materials are not equally distributed. That is to say that in some lectures, the contents are more than the others. So we can't assign each lecture in each week. In this case, let's look at some materials for Lecture 2 in Week 1. Lecture 2 refers to chemical reactions and stoichiometry. Firstly, let's look at the learning outcomes of this lecture. I'll give you some time to read through. Okay, let's look at the first section, balanced chemical equations. A chemical change or a chemical reaction involves a reorganization of the atoms in one or more substances. For example, here we have a balanced chemical equation, and from this equation we will be able to learn some information. We can know that the nature of the reactants and the products, and we will be able to know the relative amounts, that is the coefficients, like here and here. We can also understand from the equation the physical states of reactants and products. So here, G represents gas, L is liquid, and S is solid. So if you have a solution, so aqueous represents for solution. And sometimes you will have the reaction conditions written here, for example, the temperature or the pressure. In terms of the stoichiometry, the quantities of substances consumed and produced in a chemical reaction should be balanced. That is to say, the atomic mass or the total numbers of each type of element must be balanced. This is because the law of conservation of mass. Items are neither created or destroyed during a chemical equation. So, for example, here we have 4 oxygen atoms, and here we have 2 plus 2, 4 again. So on each side, the number of items must be balanced. If we track both sides, we just tracked the oxygen items. If you look at the carbon item, here on the left-hand side we have 1 carbon, and on the right-hand side we have 1 carbon as well. To track hydrogen, we have 4 here, and on the other side we have 2 hydrogen multiplied by the coefficient 2 multiplied by 2 equals 4. So this has the same number of items of each element in both sides. So we can say this is a balanced chemical equation. Quiz time. Is this equation balanced? The answer is no. So now the question is how to balance a chemical equation. Let's turn to Professor Dave.
Hey, it's Professor Dave. Let's learn how to balance equations. So if we have an unbalanced equation like this one that we need to balance, there's an easy way to do it. We will balance things one element at a time. If an element exists by itself, do that one last. Start with an element that is present in just one compound on each side. Let's do carbon first. On the left, there are 3 carbon atoms for every molecule of propane. And on the right, there is just 1 for every molecule of carbon dioxide. So according to the carbons, we are going to make 3 CO2s with every propane. Let's put a 3 there. Now the carbons are balanced. 3 carbon atoms on each side. Next, let's do hydrogen. There's 8 on the left and 2 on the right. That means we will make 4 waters with every propane. Now, hydrogen is balanced, 8 on each side. Last is oxygen. On the right, there's 6 from CO2 and 4 from water, for a total of 10. That means we will need 5 molecules of O2 to get 10 oxygen atoms on the left side. Now the equation is balanced. There is the same number of each type of atom on both sides, showing us the correct ratio in which these molecules will have to react. These coefficients are going to be very important as we move forward, as we will have to be able to balance equations to make predictions about chemistry.
Many thanks to Professor Dave. So let's review what we have learned. When you try to balance the chemical equation, the steps are as follows. So firstly, you will need to write the unbalanced equation. And then you need to count the number of each kind of atoms at each side of an arrow. And then finally, if the numbers do not match, then don't worry. You just need to add suitable coefficients and try and practice until it's finally balanced. That's the end of this session. Thanks very much.